Hello, class. Here I am again. Let's talk about multiple intelligence. All right. It's multiple intelligence. Remember, let's go back and kind of tie it to that BE survey that you did. Some of you still need turned in, but anyway, the BE survey, which is talking about the learning styles and multiple intelligence, in my mind, are about the same. It's just we have 9 ways that we can be smart, 9 multiple intelligences, which is varying degrees, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. But we also, and they tie into our learning styles. Do we like to be more kinesthetic, or are we verbal, or oral, or visual? What are the ways that we learn best? Okay, so it's how we use what we like to use to be able to solve our problems. All right. So when we're looking at the multiple intelligence, well, I just got through showing about how maybe it's our environment. It could be that we're nature smart, or we're word smart, okay, or mathematical smart. So let's see. I've already kind of given y'all a little hint. Let's just do a little bit of history about where we're coming with our levels of intelligence. We had Mr. Binet, Alfred Binet, back in the 1900s that said, we need a measure. We have a way that we can measure how smart someone is mentally. And usually with an IQ test, it's pretty standard. I mean, it's a static number that's where you are. That doesn't usually change that often. But Howard Gardner in the 1980s comes along and said, we know there's more to being smart on just an IQ test. We are smart in the different ways that we're maybe raised, our environment, our culture, our experiences that we have. So he's come up, and it started out with just 7 multiple intelligences, the only 7. And then now, since then, and that was, like I said, in the 80s. Well, now since then, there's 9. There's 9 possible multiple intelligence. So, and I would encourage you to look up read a little bit about Howard Gardner, and so that you can get a little bit better feel for him as his theories on multiple intelligence. Okay. So multiple intelligence is just, like I said just a few minutes ago, it's more than one intelligence at one time. There's more of them happening at one time, and it's expressed by the products we choose to do, our performances that we do. Okay. And sometimes it's our culture. Like, for instance, this is just maybe not a very good example, but culturally, by knowing a background of a group of people and how they practice or how they work together as that particular community, usually enhances what intelligence is stronger in their background, that they use more than the other intelligences, just because of how they were exposed, how they were reared, how maybe the mom and dads and their skills. And so that environment along with culture does make an influence. For instance, let's looking at our Mozart here. Biologically, you have mom and dad that have the acuity and skills for music. Then the life history, the personal history of the student or the person, and again, cultural background. So that's sometimes why you're smarter in certain areas than in others. So now, if we were in class, I would have us do a little team get together and see which team for bonus points could name all 9 of the multiple intelligences without looking it up or anything like that. And we'd do like a all right round robin in order to do that. But we'll just move on and let's look at it. I just said there were 9. And it says here on the slide, there are 9. And here's the next person we can look at is Thomas Armstrong. But there's only 8 in our picture. So we have linguistic smart. Now, let me back up. Why do you think there might be only 8 instead of all 9? Well, first off, it's easier to cut a pizza into 8 slices than it is to 9. But I always like to think this last one, the 9th one, is usually not pulled out in the school, K-12 public school setting as much, because it's existentialism. And it's all about existence and our knowing about a higher power than human nature or than humans, and questioning where we came from or wondering about where we came from, things like that. So that's why There's usually not. The ninth is displayed as far as we're thinking about students, because that type of intelligence is usually not used in our classrooms unless you're going to a private school or a theology school. But anyway, back over here we have linguistic, where you're word smart. For instance, with maybe working with poems, or you're able to dissect languages, or you enjoy that. You're just that you find that as a good knack of being able to break words apart and get good meaning with them, or being able to put words together and creating meaning, creating speeches and reading very well. Logic smart is about mathematics and science, and that's usually thinking very abstractly, looking at it. Then we have nature smart. Come on, ag guys, my ag students. Nature smart, usually it's stronger for those that are usually going into the field of agriculture, because first off, you were raised that way. You were out in the rural areas, you worked with animals, you've done, all types of working with different crops, cash crops or whatever, and that's something that just comes natural to you. Then we have picture smart. Now, you already know about my picture smart. Stick people, that's my picture smart. Some people, they just can doodle, and wow, they turn into some wonderful pictures. And that's how they also could remember your visual, more visual and spatial. Body smart is, to me, I kind of think this ties in, and it does. Intelligence don't stay in just one pocket. You may use multiple intelligences all at the same time. So you may be kinesthetic when you're drawing the picture, but then it turns out to be picture smart at the end. But it's that movement that helped you remember that content. So you have bodily kinesthetic, and that also goes with those that are very easy, a person who is very easy to make different forms or dance moves and make it look very graceful. And then we have music smart, that maybe you can create music, you have a voice for music and the rhythm and the timbre and the pitch from your voice, or maybe you just like music to be in the background always. Interpersonal, always think of interstate highway, from state to state to state, like I-10 or I-20, that travel outside of the state of Texas and connect other states together. So interpersonal, from person to person to person, connecting us together. And then we have intrapersonal, is within yourself. How smart are you about yourself? Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at a few examples very quickly of some people or characters that exhibit high areas in particular field and particular intelligences. Well, here's Noam Chomsky, and he's very well developed in his verbal linguistic self. Okay, is about the sounds and the rhythms of music, of words, about being able to use words and pull words together into a very eloquent speech, things like that. Okay, then we have, who is this guy? Yeah, here we have Albert Einstein. Okay, but being able to think abstractly, numbers, science, those all go together, being able to identify patterns. Okay, musical intelligence. A while ago we had Mozart. Who do you think this is? Yeah, it's Beethoven. Okay, being able to produce that perfect pitch or timbre. Now, who's this guy? His art is a little bit, out there in my mind, but he's very visual and spatial. He sees these things. So this is Picasso, okay, being able to think in pictures and images. Yeah, here's Kramer, bodily kinesthetic. It's talent for him to be able to make his body move like it does. That's not him in normal basis. He's not spastic in a normal basis, but he's able to make it, be able to do that and be skillful. Princess Di, very interpersonal, very interpersonal. Okay, she's able to identify people's moods and how they're feeling and wanting to care for them and do for people. So interpersonal, from person to person. Okay, this little critter, he's not around any longer, but you may have come across his name in ed psychology, or if you took any kind of psychology courses. But this is Rene Descartes. Now, he's one that was a thinker, very intrapersonal, just like Well, how do you know that that table is really a table, that it's really there? How do you know that? And so he's just a thinker, he's just really self-absorbed about his self-thinking and his own values and his beliefs. And then we have, yeah, Steve Irwin, nature smart, being able to categorize and classify. Now, sometimes, when you're taking a little quiz or a multiple intelligence test, that sometimes where you're classifying and categorizing may not be nature items as far as identifying plants and animals, but maybe you like to classify your clothes in your closet or something like that. That tends to be on the side of naturalist. Okay, and then we have our ninth intelligence, existential. No, this is not God. Okay, I know some people have said that, but here you're having that deep capacity, whether to how did humans get here, where are we going, about the meaning of life and things like that. But this is Plato. Think of Plato, Socrates, in that era, that were all those deep thinkers. Okay, maybe when we come in class next week, one day we'll play one of these activities. So I really want you to know about your multiple intelligences and be able to at least identify what they stand for. Okay, and I do have an activity, but do go back over these and know that what each multiple intelligence, an example of it, or a characteristic of that multiple intelligence, and especially know those 9. So what does it all mean? What does it all mean for you in your own classroom? Well, what the biggest picture is, everybody has all 9 intelligences to some degree. To some degree, some were smarter or better at some areas than at others, and mainly, like I said at the beginning, it all bases down to how you were reared, your culture, your environment, your parenting, that your parents, how they raised you or reared you, so that way that's how those got enhanced. Now, can we change it? Can we become better in some areas than others? Yes, we sure may. Now IQ, that's different. It's really difficult to raise your IQ score, but we can raise our multiple intelligence in the areas with some practice. So that goes with the next bullet. Everybody has a different level. So that means just thinking about yourself. What about your students? Your future students are all going to have different levels. They're all going to have the varying 9 multiple intelligences that they operate with, that operate in all areas of the brain, different areas of the brain. Okay? And so we need to think about these to be able to improve our education, becoming that effective classroom teacher, being knowledgeable about your students. Remember that first part of writing a lesson, or even writing your objective, is know your students. Know what learning styles that they are strong in. Can you address all 9 learning styles all the time at every lesson? Probably not, but you can sure try to do different structures. And so go into Kagan. I wish I had my text with me at the moment, but there is in either chapter 4 or chapter 14. It's one of those. And I would go to the index and look it up for multiple intelligence and find the page number. There are some structures you can use to enhance or to work with the different multiple intelligences. For instance, one is called Poem for Two Voices. Well, what multiple intelligence do you think that one is? Yeah, musical. So you can be building in some structures to enhance these multiple intelligences that your students are going to have. And be kind of cool. Look them up, guys. When you're planning your lesson plan for your first team teach, use one of these. Maybe not everybody, but use one of these structures to enhance your presentation of your lesson 1. Okay. So again, what does it mean in your classroom? What does it mean? Think about it. How can we incorporate, and why? How can we incorporate more? I like these little pictures. Kinesthetic, okay, musical, interpersonal, big time. Remember about our crises that America has when we're looking at the 4 major crises? And one of them is about social skills. Well, we need to build that, okay? And then, of course, nature smart, logistic, mathematical science, and then our word smart. Okay. Visual, spatial, it could be incorporated as far as this could be as pictures that we drew. Okay. So, and what does it mean to your students? What does all of this mean to your students? Is that having your students know what they're smart in can, first off, they can use their strengths to help their weaknesses. And you can help them with, through activities, increase their other areas that they're weaker in, their lesser intelligence. And then to value everybody's differences, to value all of that. And it also helps them manage their very own learning. Okay. So I'm going to pause this for a moment and get it set up for the next little quick video about the assignment that you will be doing. Okay.